We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Today is my day.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Susan Levin, and my co-host is
Jean-Noel Bassior.
And you're here at Talk Up Your Biz, Speak Your Way to More Profits. This is a show where we like to inspire entrepreneurs, experts, and authors and speakers to grow their business and income through speaking. And we interview many of our speakers at speakerservices.com. And we ask them how they are growing their business through speaking. And we believe that speaking is the best way to market yourself. No matter what you're doing, people will be attracted to you if you have a story to tell them. And today we have two wonderful guests with us, two of our speakers, and they're both authors. And we have Deborah Deras, who connects brands with the $1 trillion Hispanic market as a spokesperson and represents the Latinos as a Latino spokesperson. And she's also co-author of a book that you'll hear about in a little while. And then we have Gina Cloud, who presents Ginecology, empowering women's lives, bodies, mind, and soul from the inside out, and free of media stereotypes. And the last time I saw her was on TV. She was on the Ricky Lake Show. It was so much fun. We've been friends for a long time, and here she is with us today. So welcome to the show, at LA Talk Live. And today, what are we going to be talking about today, Jean-Noel?
Well, so you found another great article.
Which one?
This one about how to give a killer presentation.
Right, that was an interesting one.
Yeah, I thought there were some really good tips in this. This was by the curator of TED. And let's explain TED.
Okay, you explain it.
No, you explain it. All I know is that if you subscribe to TED, you see these great speakers. In fact, if you want to go out and speak about your business, if you can get the podcast to TED, I forget what it stands for. It stands for something that makes a lot of sense, and I can't remember. But they have the best speakers there, and a lot of times they'll be short, like it might be 20 minutes, but
15 minutes or so.
15, yeah. You get top speakers, and if you just study what they do, you can learn a lot. But the guy who I guess he's in charge. I mean, I guess it's like a curator.
Well, this was written by a guy named
Chris Anderson.
No, it was written by Gary Gennard.
I think it was posted by him.
Yes, it was, and he's in my LinkedIn group on Speaker Services.
But the article was actually written by Chris Anderson in the Harvard Business Review, right?
Okay. Yes, that's what it appears to be.
That's what you put here, anyways.
Well, I copied the article.
So, I think.
What did you like about what he said?
What I like is he really boils it down to some really good tips, like take your audience on a journey.
Yes.
Right? And you always talk about this as well. And some of the things he says I've heard from you, which is to not try to cover too much in one talk. That was something else I liked. And some of it fits in with what I tell people about writing a book, which is make it a mystery story. Now, this is about your speech or your presentation. You set it up so that there's a story there. There's a logical arc of events, right, as he calls it. And your audience wants to find out, like, what's going to come next, right?
Right. And it's interesting because I also like this post because this Wednesday for folks in LA, I'm speaking at the Holistic Chamber of Commerce, the West LA chapter, and we had Adam Tim on the show. He's the president, and we have Camille Leone coming in at the end of the month talking about the group. And they've asked me to speak, and Adam said, what do you want to talk about? And I said, well, every business has a story. And this is so perfect to give as an example. And I want to teach people how to put stories together. And as you say, you have to present the problem, and then you have to tell what the solution is. But in the middle, it's the aha moment, or the arc, as you call it, when they have the realization that something's working for them. And one of the biggest mistakes that speakers make, I believe, is that they try to sell their services rather than
talks about that.
seeding it, SEEDING, where you're telling a story. And then people get understand, and you're painting that picture.
Well, what does seeding it mean exactly?
It means that you're not selling your store. You're not selling something. You're not saying, look, this is my book and you have to buy it because it's the best book on grief. I'm just making this up. And everybody in the world has to have it. Rather than that, you would say something like, I've written a book, and you hold up your book and you say, this is a book that has been helpful to a lot of people. And let me tell you a story about a person who came to me as I was coaching them because they had lost their parent and they were devastated, and it really wrecked their life. So you're putting in all the pain things. And I worked with this person for several weeks, actually several months, and it took a while to get through it because there were so many layers, again, piling on all the pain. And one day we talked, and I gave this person a tip, and they got it. They got it in the deepest place because that's where you have to get it. And I'm going to tell you what that tip was in a moment. However, let me tell you what happened, what the results were, what the takeaways were. And then you say this person then again could sleep at night. This person was able to let go of the mother, was able to go back to work, was able to be with her kids, whatever it is. And here's this great tip that I gave her that made a change for her in her life. And this is what it is. So by painting a story like that, people will say, oh my God, I have an aunt, I have a sister, I just lost a child. Maybe I could talk to this person. Maybe they could help me get through what I need helping for, because it's hard to find people, and by going out and speaking about it, it makes a big difference. It gives you more credibility and more visibility. So you're seeding. Everybody who speaks, I believe, not everybody, but most people who speak are not just speakers. They also have other services that they offer. And when we ask people, well, what else do you do? They'll say, I don't know. And I say, well, do you do coaching? Are you a consultant? Yes, I am. They don't even recognize it, or I'm a financial advisor. So that's what I mean by seeding.
I see. It's kind of like when I tell authors when I coach them, show, don't tell. Lots of stories are best. And also another thing that you say that he mentions here is about having more of a niche presence, not to be too much of a generalist.
Right.
He says that actually meeting planners are looking for experts in very narrow fields. True?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And he also says, don't go wide, go deep.
Right.
Which is what we find out with some of our clients. They want to speak about everything, everywhere, to everybody. And we're like reeling them in. Come on, let's get it down. Especially if you're just starting, you got to start someplace.
Yeah. So again, there's so many parallels between getting a successful presentation together and writing a book. Because when I often ask authors that I coach, who's your book for? Who's your target audience? And you know what they tell me?
I don't know.
It's for everybody.
Yeah, for everybody, of course.
Yeah.
It's for everybody, but it's not for everybody.
And a lot of times they'll say, well, it's kind of like a children's book, but adults will like it too. And, and the truth of the matter is that it's, especially with the web, what the web has done is caused us to need a lot of specialization because there's so much information out there. So I think that's one reason that finding your niche is really what you have to really focus on and think about. Once you have that, then you start to get your presentation together with stories and problem solving and all of that, right?
Yes, and another thing that he says that I like, because our team member Jack Barnard often says this, develop a stage presence. And what he means by this is, this means learning how to give a performance, because you are doing a performance, but you're speaking from the heart. That's the important thing. You don't have to go to acting school, although we find a lot of people who are actors are more comfortable with it.
But he says that you have to like who you are.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's one of the
true.
biggest things that will give you confidence as a speaker. It's okay to be vulnerable. He says that. And because what the audience really is looking for is who you really are. And, that is kind of something that
Yeah, and a lot of people don't want to talk about their vulnerability. They don't want people to know their backstory, but that's what makes them who they are and allows them to speak about what they do, because they're ashamed of it, but yet they're teaching people about it. So to end this discussion, he says, presentations rise or fall on the quality of the idea, the narrative, and the passion of the speaker. And it's about substance. It's not about speaking style or multimedia pyrotechnics. And that's true. They come out with the video, with the slideshow, and you're bombarded in the music, and you want that person. You want to connect with them. And that's when, especially if you're a business speaker, you want to do business with them, hopefully.
Yeah, and this was like, actually, that tip reminded me of that really good article that we talked about a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, I
but
know
that
which one you're going to say.
It's about choreographing the room. But just the one tip where I see a parallel here is he said, if you're looking at your PowerPoint or some kind of slide presentation you have, so first you're looking there, and then you're looking at your computer.
Yeah.
You kind of call this the triangle of death, because what you're not looking at is the audience.
Right.
You've always you're either 3/4 turned away from them, or you're got your back to them, or whatever.
Right.
So that was important too, wasn't it?
So if you guys want to read this article, if you go to Speaker Services group on LinkedIn, it's there, because the fellow who posted is Gerald Gennard, and he just posted it today, and I had seen it on another group. So, hey, I want to tell you something really exciting, and we need a drum roll for this, because Nez doesn't even know it, our engineer. We have been in the dark too long. We've been doing Talk Up Your Biz since the end of February, beginning of March, and we never knew how many people were looking at our show. We thought maybe 100 or something like that. And last week, Richard, the general manager here, sent me the stats, and Jean-Noel and I practically fell on the floor. And
well, first of all, I looked at it, I was like,
yeah, I didn't say what it was yet.
Well, I'll let you tell most of the stats because you've got them. But
okay.
First thing I noticed was a 6.81 audience share. And so, you were saying like, well, what does that mean? And I looked at some stats on the web, and I'm going like, this is better than CBS was doing. Now they weren't coming in good, but but because some stations were coming in, some networks were coming in double digit, but still 6.81 is a pretty good audience share. It's not bad.
It's good. So here's the numbers. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but it was 287,400 something. And I've been told that the station is streaming live in broadcasting in 7 different streams at the same time. You can find us on Ustream, you can find us on YouTube, iTunes, 365, and something else. I don't even know all the ones. Okay.
You ladies can't forget about Radio Flag and tune in. With Radio Flag being one of the most powerful ones.
Oh.
It's similar to Twitter, but it's nothing but radio listeners that are just wanting to know what is being broadcast.
Radio Flag.
In the age of information, people are searching for information. They just don't know where to go or how to acquire it. So Radio Flag is taking it to the next step and powerful.
How do you get that? Is that radioflag.com?
It's an app you could download
it's an app?
on your Droid or iPhone, iPad, anything. And it's nothing but radio stations from all around the globe synced in to a Twitter. So people are looking
That's
for
why
something
we're
to
twittering
hear.
all the time.
So it's amazing. It's unbelievable.
Oh, well, thank you. That's
Professor
Nez.
our engineer.
Thank you. We learn something every day. That's really fabulous. So, hey, if you're listening to the show, and when people call me, they always say, oh, I've listened to both of your shows. They're fabulous. We have the book beat also following the show. Let us know. We'd like to know. Send me an email, susan@speakerservices.com. Put a comment on the YouTube channel at LA Talk Live or Ustream. Let us know. We want to know who you are, because it encourages us and gives us more confidence to keep on going. We only thought we were talking to each other for a while there. Right. That's funny. Hey, the other thing that I wanted to mention in the time we have left before
it's us and 287,000 of our closest friends.
Right, exactly.
As John B. Wells likes to say on Coast to Coast.
We're going to skip the other article. I don't think we have time for it, Jean-Noel. We'll use that next week. But what I wanted to say was I want to remind folks, people call us and they say, how do I get onto your TV show? Or how do I get onto a blog talk radio show? How do I write a press release? How do I get a media kit? What are the questions that I'm supposed to put together so that I can be interviewed properly? Well, we're going to answer those questions on June 26th at 4 o'clock, and it's a complimentary teleclass that Jean-Noel and I are doing. So please join us. Go to speakerservices.com. Look at the left-hand side of the page. You'll see complimentary teleclass. It's in a lavender column. And just sign up. and we'll answer your questions. We're not selling you anything. I promise we're not selling anything. We're just informing you. And if you like what we're talking about and you have a need for what we do, media coaching, speaker coaching, book coaching, we're here for you.
It'll give you a sample of how we work and what
Absolutely. We do. Yeah, because people say they love us together, on the show. We want to give you more. We want to help you so that you can soar on the wings of the angels.
Well said.
Yeah.
So don't go anywhere, because we have Deborah Deras coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And she is an inspirational speaker, author, and spokesperson. And we want to find out how you become a spokesperson, right? And she's the author of Confessions of an Adrenaline Addict, How to Achieve More with Less Effort. And Deborah helps corporations get their message to the $1 trillion Hispanic market, as you were saying before.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big market. She's going to tell us all about what she does. And I guess we have another couple minutes here, or should we go to break now?
I think we should go to break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
If that's okay with
Dr. Nez here.
Yeah. So we'll be back in 2 minutes. And we're at latalklive.com. Don't go away. We'll be back in a few minutes with Deborah Deras, a longtime client of ours.
A brand new beginning. The future will blossom magnificently. 'Cause today I'm planting the seed. Planting a seed to build a world closer to heaven. Planting a seed in my soul. I'm watching it grow. If you believe, we will make it together. Planting a seed in my soul. Our beauty will show. I'm taking a stand and making a difference. Ready to change.
Hi, this is Jean-Noel Bassior, inviting you to join me for my new show, The Book Beat, Monday evenings at 6:30 p.m. I'll be talking to authors about their latest book so you can find a fantastic read. But more than that, I'll be talking to experts about how you can write your own book and get it published. So tune in on Mondays at 6:30 p.m. exclusively on latalklive.com. And remember, you can catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hey, what's up, people? It's Jennifer Top here from StarCam. You guys might know me from the red carpet, catching up with all the stars, but guess what? We're bringing the red carpet to the radio right out here on LA Talk Live. I'm going live Thursday nights at 6 p.m. We got hot topics, celebrities, and much more. We were featured on Chloe Lamar on E!, Howard Stern, T.I.'s Family Hustle. You know how we do. So check it out on Thursday nights, 6 p.m. All things Hollywood, everything celebrity. StarCam Radio?
StarCam Radio? StarCam Radio!
Oh yeah, follow us on Twitter at StarCam Radio.
Today is my day. A brand new
Welcome back to Talk Up Your Biz. I'm Jean-Noel Bassior with my co-host Susan Levin. And we have Deborah Deras, right?
Yes.
I said it right?
All
Okay, in the studio with us. She is an inspirational speaker, an author, a spokesperson, and Latina brand ambassador. And she is also a sought-after corporate trainer for organizations such as J.P. Morgan, Macy's, State Farm. We've got a lot of big people here. Princess Cruises, Kaiser Permanente. So, and you're a messenger for corporations. You help them get their product or service out to the $1 trillion Hispanic market, right? What is a brand ambassador?
Yes, and that's actually one of the things that I have been doing most recently. A brand ambassador is someone that represents a product, service, or brand and acts as a spokesperson for it. So, for example, Verizon had hired me last year. They wanted to reach the Hispanic market to save time, energy, and money by learning how to use the 10 best apps. So, I was on a speaking tour facilitating workshops with Verizon's content on really engaging the Hispanic community to use their product or service. So
How did you become a brand ambassador? How does somebody do that?
it was a really interesting story because I didn't even know there was such a thing as a brand ambassador.
I didn't either.
And I created videos. One of the things, I follow Susan Levin and have been reading all of her newsletters since she began. And one of the things that she had said at the beginning was, or she had said that there's a new trend in video. And especially if you're going to be a speaker, you want people to see you speaking and get a sense of who you are and the energy that you bring. So I did a whole series. I called it Deb TV, Dynamic, Empowered, and Bold on YouTube. Like Oprah has her own. And so I had my Deb TV. And so I started doing a series of videos based on my speaking topics on time management, stress management, work-life balance. And so an advertising agency here actually in Culver City saw one of my YouTube videos and offered me a very wonderful contract with Verizon. So so then, I started getting sought after by other companies, one of which is CEO Space International. They just started a Latino division. And so I'm
great.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Yeah.
So I'm the brand ambassador for them. Basically, I am the face and the energy behind whatever the movement is for the brand.
So you created this niche for yourself of then being a Latina brand ambassador?
Yeah, I did. And that was something that when I joined CEO Space International, I had the fortune to have a private coaching session with Bernie Dorman, billionaire founder of CEO Space International, featured in Forbes magazine. And he said, there is no Latina brand ambassador that's out there and known. Why don't you create that niche for yourself? So I bought the domain name latinabrandambassador.com, latinaspokesperson.com, and have been really focusing my energies on this because, as the growing Hispanic market is expanding, people are looking on how to appropriately get their brand out to that market. And so since I've been speaking to that market for the past 10 years, 12 years actually, I'm able to be of service in that way.
Tell us about the book you co-wrote with Adelaide.
Oh, the book that I wrote, Confessions.
You don't have it with you?
I have it on my iPad. Everything has gone green now.
Okay.
In fact, on my website, deborahderas.com, people can download it for free. The whole entire book.
Confessions of
An Adrenaline Addict, How to Achieve More with Less Effort. And we were inspired actually to write that book right here in Playa del Rey. We went for a walk on the beach. Of course, we wanted to write a book called How to Do a Million Different Things All at the Same Time because that's what we wanted and our audience members wanted. But when we got really clear and tuned in to what I talk about, the Intuitive Guidance System, or IGS, we were told that we should confess on all the ways that we were adrenaline addicts, not type A personalities, but type A plus, just going, doing.
Yeah.
And when you're in that frenetic action, you think that you're being productive because you're in activity,
Right.
but activity does not equal productivity.
Tell me about it.
and we learned that the hard way.
Right.
And so this book, there's 7 principles in the book on how to be successful with more ease and with more grace.
And that's one of the talks that you offer as well, right?
Yes.
And, I met Deb many years ago. We were talking about it before we started here. We met at a networking meeting, and we became colleagues and friends, and she sent me a lot of clients. But one day the phone rang, and you'll probably remember this, and I use this story all the time. And she said to me, Susan, somebody called me. It's some kind of company, and they want me to do 4 seminars for free, half-day seminars. I'm not doing that for free. And she said, here's what I'm going to do, and this is what I told them. I told them that I would come and do a lunch and learn program because it's a local thing. And if they like me, they could hire me. So she gets down to the parking lot, gets there. She doesn't even know where she's going. It's in Carson. And she looks up and she sees BP. And she doesn't even know what BP means at the moment, And this was before the British petroleum spill. And goes in and just charms the pants off of those people. And you got those 4 gigs. It
Yes.
amounted to a lot of money.
Yeah, and also great relationships.
And great
I'm actually
relations.
still in contact with some of the people, and
Yeah.
they've been bought out since then, and I'm still in contact with the HR manager and
perfect.
some of the engineers that I met there. And they were, every audience I go to, I end up getting them up in salsa dancing.
That's
even
right.
even the chemical engineers were in their orange suits doing a little bit of salsa, because we are working so hard in our offices, and everybody's kind of in their little cubicle. But unless we access our right brain and that creativity and that fun and that joy, we're not going to break through that barrier to our next level of what we're supposed to do. So I bring that to JPL, Caltech, engineer, rocket scientists.
And you've
we're all
done it on your video demo. What we did many years ago, I saw it there, and you make it so much fun. And how can people not react to that and want to be around you? And the point that I want to make that people take away is, when somebody calls you and asks you to speak for 2 or 3 hours and they're not going to pay you, do what Deborah said. She was very clever. Say, I'll come and do a lunch and learn. If you like me, great. And that works. Speak locally for free, but the business is in the upsell. And you've done a lot of interesting things.
Oh, yes.
You've taught me a lot of things, and the ways that you've maneuvered, and you got all over the country and got paid for it, even though you were speaking locally for free.
Speaker Services took me to Mississippi.
Was it the drug rehab people? Yeah, that Heidi did too. Yeah, that was.
And Cindy did too. The Mississippi Association of Pharmacists in Recovery. Yeah.
Right.
And we're still friends on Facebook, so I may be going back to Mississippi this summer. We'll see.
It's a retreat, right? Yeah. You get around. I think Jean-Noel has a question.
I do about how do we? I'm looking at the subtitle of your book. So tell me, how do we achieve more with less effort?
Well, one of the principles of the book that I think is one of my favorite is really the power of synergy. And I know that's what Susan is all about and you're all about, is especially now that as the economy has shifted, whether you want to call it contracted or expanded, depending on your perspective, is it's really important for us to partner up. Many people are living in a world of the illusion of fear, scarcity, and that we would be competing. But I'm actually partnering with so many organizations. Tomorrow I'm doing a show with AES, which is a Latina Leadership Network, and I do Latina leadership, and so does she. We're not competitors. We are actually supporting each other and using both of our networks to build each other up and go to the next level.
Here.
And when you realize, those of you that are either speakers now or becoming speakers, is that you have unique talent, skills, and abilities that nobody has.
Right.
No one is I could give somebody my PowerPoint, I could give someone my script. No one's going to deliver the presentation like I would. So go ahead.
And everybody's attracted to different people. So there's enough to go around for all
So
of
the
us.
power of synergy is we can achieve more with less effort, quantum results, by partnering up. So if anybody feels that they're struggling and that they're walking through mud, then identify who is in your field that's doing similar things to what you're doing and how you could partner up and offer joint services to take your market to the next level.
And we're not talking about affiliate marketing. We're talking about
joint
collaborating,
ventures,
or community, as our friend Ursula Menges calls it, community. And we have speakers community. It's the tribes coming together.
So is this about like reaching out to people, say through a social network like LinkedIn, or phoning them, or going like, we do similar things, or we do things that would complement each other?
Yeah, I've had a lot of people reach out to me either through Facebook. I know LinkedIn is a great source as well, and just say, how could we partner? I see that we're doing similar work. We have a similar mission. It's really important to have similar core values. How can we reach out and serve our clients using our, broader range of services? So,
and you found like people are pretty receptive to that? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I have never had somebody that wasn't receptive to that, because it's the thing about synergy. It's not just a win-win. It's a win-win-win-win-win. Everybody wins. Yeah, it's a quadruple win. Right. And so, but you have to make sure that there's an alignment there. So it's very important that you have the same mission, vision, core values, and that your services aren't competing. Anytime your services are like directly competing, people don't know where to go. So if I did a coach with someone that did the exact same thing as I did, I mean, there is no competition, but people would get confused.
I understand.
So complementary services.
Right. I really like that. And I do that all the time.
I know you do.
Yeah. I think it's very important.
And another thing you say here is that overwhelm is internal. Right? Since a lot of people are overwhelmed, can you tell us what exactly do you mean? I mean, I think I know what you mean, but I'd like to hear it in your words.
This is such a good question. Thank you. Because I do life coaching, I do private practice coaching, and so many of my clients come to me because there is just so many things on their to-do list that even if they had a team of 10, they would never get it all done.
Right.
Everyone's like, how do I clone myself? But the challenge is that we have unrealistic expectations of what we can do. And we're the one that's writing that to-do list. So we can set ourselves up for beating ourselves up on a daily basis.
We do create our own list of tasks, don't we?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then beat ourselves up when
for
we
not
don't
doing
complete
them.
it.
And people that are overwhelmed often are also in FOMO, the fear of missing out. So they don't say no to anything and therefore are just completely in this perpetual cycle. So one of the things that I encourage people to do is, in addition to their making a realistic to-do list based on what can actually be done in an 8-hour, 10-hour day, whatever day you work, but to also create a let go list. Part of what has given me peace and the people I work with is releasing things. Because if we keep having things on our to-do list yet never let go of anything, of course we're going to be overwhelmed. And we could let go of perfectionism. We can let go of beating ourselves up. We can let go of victim consciousness. There's so many things that are internal that we can let go of that will give us more resources. When you think of our brain is like a computer, all of the things on our to-do list that are not done are just running in our head before we go to
So
sleep.
do you actually let go of the things that, let's say, have been on your to-do list for like a month or two and they're undone and you still haven't done them, so would you let go of those?
Yes, I have like the 3 Ds. You either delete it, you delegate it, or you do it. That's it.
Makes sense.
Delete it, delegate it, or do it. Otherwise, I mean, literally, otherwise you're going to feel that burden, that heaviness of not doing what you say you're doing. And then you feel like you're walking through mud. And that overwhelm just stops you from being focused on the things that are really important to you.
It's funny when you delete it, it's like you don't miss it, right?
No.
I have never missed anything that I have, thrown out. Really.
And
But
as
sometimes it's hard to let go of it.
Yeah,
that's
but it
the
is.
hard
And
thing.
as entrepreneurs or visionary entrepreneurs, people that are working in a business but very passionate about what they're doing, seeing themselves as leaders, it's difficult to delegate because we feel like there's no one that can do
That's
it
right.
like
That's
we
right.
do. But guess what? When we delegate, we give people an opportunity to grow and use their talents, skills, and abilities. So I've been practicing that the last few years. I delegate more and more.
So FOMO and the 3 Ds.
Yes.
Fear of missing out. That's a good one.
That's good. Now,
Yeah.
I know that you speak in colleges or to teens and such. What do you talk to them about? How can you help them?
Yeah, I actually have been, my niche really picked me. When I first started in the business, I never said, oh, I'm only going to speak to the Latino market. But because there were so few Latina speakers, I had a lot of colleges calling me and asking me if I would speak at their leadership summits and conferences. And I've spoken all over Arkansas, Minnesota, places you didn't even know Latinos were. But yeah, I do a lot of great speaking. I partner with USHLI, which is the United Hispanic Leadership Institute, and I've spoken in Oregon and Georgia, all around the globe, really helping college students before they even get those limiting beliefs and the overwhelm and those bad habits to really maximize their potential.
That's right. You have a talk you give for teens from classroom to boardroom, right?
Yeah, part of what young people are really looking for is to feel like they fit in. And it starts with self-esteem and self-confidence. I remember I spoke to this middle school one time, and I was kind of nervous to speak to a middle school. I'm like, how am I going to retain the attention span of 12-year-olds for 40 minutes? I think they had me scheduled to speak, and it was called I Believe in You. And it was about them really cultivating who they are from within, not from what other people say, not from what bullies. And I remember at the very end, the young girls were asking me questions. Are those your eyelashes? Do you have a boyfriend? And then the final question they asked me, this one little girl came up to me, I'll never forget, and she says, you know what? I believe in you.
Oh, I love it.
I was like, she got it. She was already empowering me, It's like,
That's
so it's really
beautiful.
a joy. I don't get to speak to a lot of middle schools and high schools as I would like to, just because
That's a beautiful
But that was
story.
just like it made it so worth it, because I went through like snow and sleet to get to that organization, and the fact that she got it,
Yeah.
you know, she really got it and was already giving it back. That made it so worth it. Yeah. It was wonderful.
That's really fabulous.
Great story.
So what's on the horizon for you? What's coming up?
What is coming up? Well, I'm doing that CEO Space International. I'm
Right.
speaking for, and every month we have a meeting at the Beverly Hills Country
Right.
Club. The third Tuesday of the month, I'm
And
doing.
people can come to that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's open to the
Right.
public, and so if people go to deborahderas.com on my calendar, they can come to that. I also partnered up. Oh, I forgot. Another one of my partners is New York Life Insurance, and so we did an event called Unleash the Leader Within, and now we're doing a whole full day event on June 22nd to sustain the leader within, to release fears, worries, and doubts. It's specifically for new agents, but it's open to the public. So anybody that has fear, worry, or anxiety that's stopping them from reaching their full potential and want to go to the next level in their career, in their business, in their life, will help with the relationships as well.
So they can find that on your page. Say
Yes.
it again, what your page is and how your email address and
Yes.
how to find you.
I'm deborahderas.com, spelled the biblical way, DeborahDeras.com, and you click on the calendar, and I have a whole list of the events. I'm doing a lot of free webinars and teleclasses. I'm going to be doing a telesummit with the president of Hay House, Reed, coming up.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that.
That's nice. And are you still doing weddings?
Yes, I'm so excited. I just booked another wedding. I have a website, idoyourwedding.com. I did one yesterday for new Jews. They're new age Jews. And next month I'm doing one that's going to be translated in Italian, because the groom is Italian from Rome, coming here to marry his princess that he met 15 years ago.
Oh my God.
It's so romantic. I can't even stand
it's a
it.
TV reality show.
I know it really is. I told them this would be so perfect. So I have the thing about doing weddings that's the hardest for me is not to cry, because it's so touching.
Yeah.
And I really love it. So that's one of the things I enjoy most about what I do.
Well, you're really doing a great job. And I know at one point you were working, I don't know if you still are, with other speakers, empowering them to speak and then getting them out there and sending some of them to me as well.
Yeah, part of Synergy Unlimited is a consortium of speakers to be able to serve the community. So I'm not the only speaker. There's about 10 other speakers on all different topics, from branding to marketing. I have a couple people that are bilingual, specifically focused on the Hispanic market. So yeah.
Yeah, so I know you told me a while ago that people were calling you and you just couldn't be everywhere at every place all the time, and you didn't speak on everything. And that's why you started this group and you send these folks out. And then I hope you take a piece of the action.
Yes.
Okay. That's where it's at, and that's a beautiful thing, supporting each other. Yeah. So I think I'm going to go to a break now.
Yeah.
And we appreciate you being here. Give us your email address and your website. And
Sure. My email address is Deb, at deborahderas.com.
And can people find you through email?
Yes.
Did you just say it?
Yes.
I'm losing my mind.
Deb at deborahderas.com. My website is deborahderas.com.
Okay, great. You've been a wonderful, informative, delightful guest. We're
Thank
so
you.
happy that you came here at the right time, and the right
Yes,
place.
exactly.
The right
You wanted
show.
to come last month.
I was
Right
so excited.
show.
I couldn't wait. I was like, when am I going?
Yeah, last month she wanted to be
I
on the
wanted
show.
to talk up.
Okay, so we're going to break right now, and you're listening to LA Talk Live. We're
And
more than just
coming
talk.
up, we have Gina Cloud, right?
Right, and
Stay
coming-
tuned.
Yeah, go ahead. Why don't you tell people about
Yeah,
her?
stay tuned for Gina Cloud. Don't go anywhere. She's going to be a great guest that's going to tell you how to be a woman, WOMAN, instead of just maybe the definition that we know about women. She's got a whole new take on
And
it.
that's her book.
Yeah,
the name
that's
of
her book.
So we'll be back in 2 minutes, and we'll talk to you more then with Gina.
Planting a seed in my soul, our beauty will show. I'm taking a stand and making a difference. Ready to change the world that I see.
West Coast Stand Up, it's your boy Omar Ray, aka Suge Gotti. Forbidden Tuesdays with the Gems, 9 p.m. LA Talk Live. Let's get it.
Hi, this is Dr. Levi, your fitness doctor, making a personal house call, inviting you to join me Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific for my all-new show, The Dr. Levi Show. Join us as we discuss fitness, health, and well-being, including emotional and spiritual health. So don't forget to tune in to The Dr. Levi Show every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes, Radio R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv, or catch us on the Live 365 network, and now on Radio Flag and Stitcher Radio. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Elena, inviting you to join me every Wednesday at noon for Elena's Beauty Talk and more, exclusively on LA Talk Live. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio, R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Today is my day, a brand new beginning. The future will blossom magnificently, 'cause today I'm planting.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Susan Levin with my co-host Jean-Noel Bassior on Talk Up Your Biz, Speak Your Way to More Profits. And we're at LA Talk Live, where we're more than just talk. And now in this segment, we have the beautiful Gina Cloud with us. And we're so happy that you're with us today, Gina.
Thank you, Susan.
Yeah, and your enlightening presentations explode the myths and misinformation put forth by our culture, the media, and the mainstream, and the medical community. And you have new formulas for becoming who you truly are, as a part goddess, part feminist, part revolutionary, and all woman. Yeah, welcome again to Gina Cloud. She has been representing women for many, many years.
Yeah,
and
as
some,
one mostly, but yeah.
And men too. I know there's
Yes,
some things
there's a
here
huge
about
part of
men
my work.
as well.
Yeah.
So I think Jean-Noel has a couple questions here for you.
Oh, well, yeah, lots of
Yeah.
questions. So, well,
Remember, we're interviewing.
right. So, and I was actually looking at that presentation you have that is for men about how to live
with a woman.
With a woman who,
Yeah.
well, okay, so now tell me how your definition of woman may be different from what we think, or
That's the fundamental crux of it, if you will. And yeah, I do have the one presentation is how to live as a woman, which is for women, and then I have how to live with a woman, which
Right.
is for men,
Right.
which is that little prepreposition changes everything,
because
right?
some adjustment is obviously going to be necessary.
Clearly,
right?
but my whole premise around that the woman is an acronym, so each letter stands for something very specific. And the redefinition for me came about because I felt that as we move through the world and the world that we're living in, that women are really adopting without consciousness. It's just the way the world has evolved, and I don't like to do the blame game. It's his fault, her fault, woman's fault, or men's fault. It's just what is, and we live in a very male paradigm, and it doesn't really honor the way we as women live, express ourselves, the way we would even do business, and that's a whole other topic. But so my experience as a woman was finding that our biology was really the critical place where we were missing how to live as a woman. So, I was doing my own radio show for about 6 years and exploring all these issues related to women's lives. And the acronym sort of came, as many things do when I do this work. It's an inspiration. So the W stands for wild, as in a primal, instinctual, really juicy connection to our bodies. And it has a lot to do with authentic female sexuality, which is very different from men's sexuality. The O is open, has a lot to do with our vulnerability and that ability to surrender and to be in our hearts, which is really a key piece of being women, right? Which we really kind of don't live in a world that honors that. And there's so much fear around being able to be soft and vulnerable as women that we are in our own protection, which is really the masculine. The M is the magical, which is the experience, the triad of experiences we go through as women between menstruation, giving birth, and menopause, and this juicy gift that we all experience through our bodies. All these lessons come to us through our bodies. So that's one of my favorite chapters, actually. The A is authentically empowered, taking all of that wonderful stuff we have inside, our gifts, giving it back to the world in the form of our work. And then the N is nectar, juicy, sensual, playful, colorful, laughing, childlike, yet a woman's sensuality and wisdom in it. So that's how we ought to be. And that's how the book came about. It's like, why can't we be all that?
So people can see it.
Where's the camera? I'm not sure where the camera is.
But we don't always get a lot of opportunity to express that, do we? Especially in the business world, or
That's a big issue that's happening now, and there's a whole trend towards what's called feminine leadership. Sheryl Sandberg, a lot of people are familiar with her book Lean In, where she talks about the idea of trying to sort of have it all for women. And I saw an interview with her and Oprah on Oprah's channel recently, and Oprah had asked the very pointed question, which was, why is it, do you think, that women aren't able to have it all, to do, what's that missing link? And she actually said, Sheryl Sandberg said, I don't know. And I immediately was like, oh my God, I do. It's this. We're not living this. We're still in that masculine paradigm, and we're not creating an actual space for us to do our thing the way we would do it.
So how can we get to that?
Well, one of the main, the M is in the middle of the word woman, and I always say it's the place from which we learn to do the rest that's around it, because it's in really reconnecting with our biology and honoring it. I mean, from the time I do a lot of workshops also with young girls, and you mentioned you saw me on the Ricky Lake show, and
With
it was
your
around,
daughter.
yes, with my daughter, who is now 18 and just graduated high school this week.
Yay.
And the idea that from the moment girls' bodies change, from the moment they begin to resemble actual female bodies in that stereotypical hourglass thing, there's a fear around being female, because there's an exploitation and a sexploitation of women and girls. That it's global. I think we do it horrifically in the West, and it starts at a very early age. So if to re-educate ourselves as women around that biology, that it's something wonderful and sacred, and when I use the word sacred, it's never in a religious context. It's the idea that it's something to be honored and valued and respected, and we have respect for our bodies, because these little girls were basically saying, I'm afraid to develop breasts, I'm afraid to get my period, because they see how we treat women in the world. And there's this objectification, there's this sense of, well, we're all powerful before this, and then what happens to us after that. And even in Reviving Ophelia, which was a popular book probably 10, 15 years ago, she doesn't bring in the biological piece at all. And I have found in my work with the girls, it's a huge piece of why they feel less than, and they begin to recede.
You're not prepared for it. I remember
so
that.
it's to live that woman piece, you really have to start by being present with your body, woman, which has its rhythms and its cycles for a reason, and it's different. We're not men. We're not supposed to be on the same rhythm with men. And I think that men are looking for us to actually be women. There's a beautiful exchange of energy that happens when we're in alignment with each one of our natural polarities. So
are you going into schools and teaching young women, or do you feel enough of that is being done?
No, enough of it isn't being done. And to be honest, there's a little bit of a fear about speaking to them from a place of vulnerability and emotional content about their experience as girls. They'll come in, like for instance, my daughter, I did the girls workshop for her class when they were probably 9 or 10 years old. In 5th grade, which is when they usually bring that stuff in, Planned Parenthood came in. They were there for about 3 days. The first thing out of the gate they spoke to those kids about was anal sex. They were mortified. They were why? Because AIDS, and we jump over things that those kids don't really need to even hear about yet. They're just dealing with body changes.
Why would they start with anal sex?
Because their whole thing is not getting pregnant, and then the whole AIDS thing. So that's where they start with safe sex. Exactly. They start from that place. And the girls were like, because some of those girls, they're all like my other daughters. I've amassed these daughters over the years from doing it. And it's really something that we don't address it from an emotional place. Like, how do you feel about your body changing? What does it feel like to have a period? What is it like to have breasts? What is it like to be looked at differently?
So if we missed all that, because obviously we didn't have it, you know, Now what do we do?
What do you do now is you'd either take one of my workshops. No, seriously, it's something, or I love to come and speak about these things. This is one of the reasons I got on board with you, Susan, is I love speaking about this and inspiring women. I have tools and techniques and things that you can do in your daily existence to realign you with being a woman and living in rhythm with that. I was speaking with someone just a few days ago, one-on-one, who's been trying to get pregnant for years. And she lives very masculinely. And so we were talking about these simple things, subtle things that she would never have thought of that will realign her with that feminine energy.
Give us a couple examples. Give us.
For instance, she's a very, very busy, on-schedule person who does a lot of things. I tell women, and this is one of those ones where I get like the jaw-dropping, what are you talking about moments. I said, are you in alignment with your cycle? Because it's one of the most important pieces of our life ongoing. 40 years of this we experience. Most women pay no attention to it until we get to menopause, and then you realize, oh my God, this had meaning in my life and now it's gone or it's going, and you feel sad because you never treasured it. So I said, okay, I want you to stop using tampons and I want you to use your pads instead. I said, because we don't have a relationship with our blood anymore. Our menstrual blood is something that without it, life on earth would not exist. It's the reason we don't get one when we're pregnant is because it forms the placenta. Without it, there would be no life. It is something we should revere and honor. It takes us through a cyclical kind of wisdom that once we hit menopause, that wisdom is with us 24/7. So it's not a cyclical thing. So I had her switch over to pads. I had her go home, light candles, take off her clothes, dance naked to music she wanted to feel her body and to reconnect with it, because she stays on a treadmill like many, many, many women. It's funny because Deborah was sort of just talking about this doing thing. And I was sitting here thinking about the idea of feminine leadership and what that would look like. And I thought, this is one of those things I really am longing to create a situation where I go in and speak to corporations about how to set up their businesses so that it honors feminine leadership and men are involved in it as well. For instance, women, you're going to always have women who are still cycling and women who aren't. Those women would be entitled to have a few days off a month. The women who are in menopause, would pick up the slack, and the guys would constantly be aware of it and in support of it. There's no shame, there's no blame, there's no, oh my God, she's got her period. You get a few days to rest and collect yourself and reflect on yourself and to take some downtime and to heal. That's what we're supposed to do. There's a rhythm, not this go.
Sounds like if you could find one organization that you could actually get to do that and
that's
get
what
it
I
to
really
work.
would love to do. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I hope you're listening out there.
Yes.
Tell people how they can find you.
Well, they can find me at ginacology.com. That's sort of the body of work has become Ginacology. It's my name, Gina, Gina, with Cology, Cology. So it's ginacology.com. I have a blog there. Men follow my work as well, really love what I have to say because I don't do the blame game. And I found that when my book came out, that probably half my reviews on Amazon were from men who had been listening to the radio show and read the book and really loved not only what I was saying about women. A lot of them thought, I'm reading this because I want to learn more about women. And they said, wow, there were things I learned about myself through this also.
That's interesting.
Because we have a lot of human issues that we approach through gender. I think I end up taking on a lot of these things through gender, but they're really human issues. And they reflect on both men and women.
Well, what about the talk that you give for men? Is pornography ruining your life?
Ooh, wow, that's a huge one because I've done a lot of coaching also with men who've come to me because there's a real vulnerability there that's not being addressed. They have these seduction communities where men are being schooled on how to pick up women and how to get laid, 10 times in a week. And a lot of times it's these really young guys that'll come to me and they'll say, and this is a global, actually a lot of my coaching clients are actually international. And young men, late teens, middle 20s, 30s, porn ruined my life because it was how they learned how to do sexuality. And it's not real. It's virtual. These guys couldn't have eye contact with real women. They didn't know how to approach a woman, how to talk to her. And not only that, their expectations about what sex was like was rooted in violence and misogyny. And that's not actually honoring of men or women. So it's something where I like to talk to men about this because we just get into it without blame. It's just like, how is this really affecting your life and your relationship? I had a woman email me just last week asking the question, my boyfriend watches porn constantly and I've asked him not to, and what should I do? And I basically said, if you've talked to him about it and he's not honoring you in that, you need to call it quits. If there's something there, unless you know he's the one and he's willing to actually sit with you and go through a process of understanding why this is important to you, you deserve to be honored in this. And female sexuality is very different from male sexuality.
And I've heard that men who watch pornography cannot have an erection with their wife.
That's very, very common.
Yeah.
There's also a neurological thing that goes on. It's like drugs. The opiates that get released from these levels of violence. First of all, they start out in one place, but then the violence becomes part of the sexuality. There's a shocking line. Every time I remember this, it gives me goosebumps. Professor Robert Jensen, that I had interviewed several times on my own show, wrote a book called Getting Off Pornography and the End of Masculinity. And there's a film that he's featured in called The Price of Pleasure, which talks about the porn industry from people who produce it, who are in it, former users. And they flash on the screen the UN's definition of torture. Then they show a clip from a regular, just mainstream porn film. And the exact thing that was described as torture by the UN is being enacted as sexuality. Wow. That speaks volumes to where we are with sexuality in the West.
And what about the violent video games that
kids
start watching at 8 years old?
And I think this has a lot to do with boys. It's mostly boys. And I recently wrote a blog post called Women Won't Be Safe Until Men Are in Their True Hearts. Because
that's a good title.
I had the vision that no matter what women do to be safe and to empower ourselves, we need men to really honor and value women the way men used to.
It used to be men were protectors.
Exactly. To have that come back, and it was a call to men who want to be part of a group again that are about making the world safe for women and children again. And I got responses from men in Australia. Like I said, for some reason the international
because I think
speaks
men
to it.
miss that role.
They do, and they don't even know it.
And maybe there needs to be a new definition of what it means to be a protector, because it's not a protector like I need someone to lift me across a puddle that's in the middle of the
exactly. It's not that archaic.
Right.
Yeah, we can't do it for ourselves. Oh, can you help me kill the bug?
But maybe
although I still like that.
But
I don't
maybe
like
there
bugs.
needs to be a new definition.
Yeah.
You
Absolutely.
know? So
yeah, I really do. And they were responsive to it because it was like saying, we need you. And there's a sense that men need to be needed. They don't know where they fit in anymore. The world has changed so much. And so to speak to that and say, please, we want you to honor us. We want you to value us, and we will honor you in return. And for men, I think there's a big piece missing where men aren't being allowed to feel, to have a heart, to want love. Like, they're not these machines that are just sex maniacs.
Yeah, I know some men like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, where they've just turned off all their emotions and they just don't know
But
how
they're
to
longing
express
to.
it.
And because I think I speak to them from a place of, I know you have a heart and I know you want to experience it, they really open to what I have to say.
That's about authenticity.
Absolutely.
Also.
So it sounds like a lot of your work is actually speaking to men, right?
It's becoming that sort of on its own as men reach out to me. Though the body of my work is really focused on women and speaking to women and empowering women. But I always say I go where I'm called, and being able to speak to men in person about these things is really something that I love to do because it really has an impact. And I find that it really makes a difference in their lives.
Do you have any workshops coming up or teleclasses?
I have some teleclasses I am scheduling, and I'm actually working on a show that would really sort of, I think the working title right now is Love and Power, where we address some of these issues that are happening, as human issues, like I was saying, but through gender explorations. And so there's, I love speaking most of all, though. I think I love, and that's our connection there. I love being able to get in a room and inspire people to become all of who they can be.
I'd like to see you with Wendy Hammers on Tasty Words. You didn't make it that time.
That's right.
And
we talked about that.
You would be fabulous on one of her shows.
I would love it.
Story. Well, you
just
need
tell
to
me to
go
start
and
talking.
see
I'm
it.
happy. You have to say, okay, Gina, time.
Yeah. She just did a show, but go to her website, wendyhammers.com, and see what her themes are. And if you submit a story, she'll probably accept it.
Oh, wow. That's
and
a good idea.
And she gets 100 people in the audience. It's
and
usually
I love writing.
First Thursday of each month. And you perform it.
Oh.
You speak it.
And that, I mean, as a dancer, I mean, that was one of my big things as a young person, was a dancer and performing. But it really is more through dance, the things through the body.
Right.
But I would love to do a performance piece that involves dance, actually.
Absolutely.
That would be amazing.
And some of them are like 5 minutes, some of them are 20 minutes.
Right.
And she's delightful, and she lives right near you.
I know,
too.
we're in Santa Monica in that area.
Yeah, so it would be good for you to connect with her. Well, you've been a great guest. What were you saying, Gina?
No, Ness was holding up the sign, and I knew you couldn't see it. No, we had 2 minutes.
Oh, we
Time
still
flies.
have 2 minutes. Okay.
1.5.
Okay, so you're writing a show, and you're doing teleseminars, And are you speaking anywhere soon that you know of?
Nowhere soon that I know
you
of.
all
So
listen.
I just joined back up with Susan because I said I got to get in the speaking gig. So I will talk about pretty much. I will really truly pretty much anything. I have a huge. That's part of the problem. You're talking about specific focus, but pretty much anything women's issue related.
And men's issue too.
And men and young girls. That's also a huge audience of mine. I have an amazing connection with young women.
It sounds like maybe if you wanted to, you could take this into the schools, though. Really.
Absolutely, I would like to. I think that the fact that they would probably want to censor the honesty with which these girls need to hear things is going to be an issue.
They probably
though.
would, but sneak in, and then you can see what happens.
Well, I started with the Girl Scouts, was where the whole thing was born, was with the Girl Scouts.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So folks, Gina Cloud, you can go to her website to book her, or you can go to speakerservices.com. She's on our website and read her speaker listing and all the topics that she speaks about. And call her. She's going to answer your call. Or you can email her and tell her what your needs are.
And read my blog,
And read your blog. And read your book. And all of our speakers, by the way, customized for every program. Please use our service. We have a lot of local Los Angeles people who will speak locally for free. And anything after an hour isn't free. So you have to negotiate like Deborah taught us how to do. Okay.
So thank you so much, Gina, for joining us. Gina Cloud.
And thank you, Susan.
You're welcome.
And our first guest, Deborah Deras. And next week, coming up, we're going to have Jack Kinnefick, who is a fitness expert. And he shows you how to set short-term goals for long-term success, which sounds like a plan. And Susan, who else do we have?
We have Helene Harris, a longtime speaker, client, therapist, friend of ours, who's also a business coach and who shows you how to attract your ideal clients and customers. So I want to also remind you to stay tuned. In the next 30 minutes, we'll be on the Book Beat, and we have 4 fabulous, hot, sexy mamas with us, Regina Clark and Kim Summers and Susie Augustine and Claudia Cooley. Really interesting topics, and Jean-Noel is the host of that show, and I'll be sitting in the back cheering on. So please stay tuned for the Book Beat at 6:30. And
thanks for joining us today on Talk Up Your Biz. This is LA Talk Live, where we are more than just talk.
You are now tuned into LA Talk Live. We're more than just talk. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned.